Hey, yeah, it's been a while. I actually had a full schedule plan. I was so ready. I had all my video ideas lined up, and you might be able to hear I got very sick. So not this past weekend, but the weekend prior, I had my best friend's bachelorette party. I lost my voice. Screaming at the Sugar Shack. Listen, it was necessary. It was necessary to cheer for them. So lost my voice, and then I couldn't film, and then got hit with a bad cold, which you can still kind of hear. So yeah, that has completely knocked me on my ass in terms of filming. And then this past weekend I was in Florida, so I literally have not had a spare second to sit down and film until now, or like when I've actually been able to like talk and not either be like hacking up a lung or actually having a voice. We're a little delayed, but now I'll just push all the videos that I had planned, like a bookshelf tour and hockey recs, to next week. And so today, this video is gonna go up on Wednesday. It's gonna be my May wrap up, and then I'm gonna have my June TBR on Friday. And then next week, I'm planning on doing a bookshelf tour and hockey romance recs, because I was gonna do hockey romance recs on the day that Goalie released, which was last Friday, but whatever. It is what it is. So let's go ahead and jump into the 5 books that I read in May. So even though I only read 5 books, I had a really good reading month. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. So first up, I have The Broker by Nikki Sloan. This is the 6th book in the Nashville Neighbors series, although they are all standalones. Like, you don't have to read the others in order to read this one. However, you do obviously see some crossover characters. So in this one, our hero, he recently moves to Nashville and like is moving into a new home there and starting a new job as a broker, because he needed just like a little bit of a change of pace from his previous life and his previous line of work. So he's got this new job and he's in this new city. And when he is out to dinner one night with a few friends, he ends up seeing this one girl in need of some help at a bar who's getting harassed by a creepy guy, and that is our heroine. So she was originally on a date with Preston, who, if you've read the other books, he is the ex-boyfriend from the first book. That one is an ex-boyfriend's dad trope. And then he's the hero in The Good Girl, which is book 5. And I think you actually see this date from his POV in that first book. And you see he ends up abandoning our heroine in this one to go rescue the heroine in the 5th book, Sydney. So anyways, she is now left alone at this restaurant and is getting hit on by this creepy guy. And she has been kind of down bad on her luck recently. She recently had to move back in with her parents after she broke up with her boyfriend. And it was like a very draining relationship. And that relationship also really hurt her relationship with her parents. So she's trying to like reestablish that with them and get back on good terms with them. And another way that she's doing that is by cleaning at her dad's company. And it happens to be the company now that our hero is also working at. So it is like boss's daughter. And they basically hit it off. They have this great night. They go back to his place, but then they kind of establish that like there are certain lines that they aren't going to cross that night because of certain things that both of them have going on. Obviously, with it being Nikki Sloan, it is super, super hot. Okay, and this one was no different. The entire Nashville Neighborhood series is insanely spicy, and this one isn't any different, okay? Absolutely loved it. I really liked the development of the relationship between the two of them. I have 0 complaints about this book. The Good Girl is still my favorite. That reigns supreme still in this series, but honestly, I loved this book. Like, really, really enjoyed it. So if you're looking for another good one, or if you haven't picked up anything in this series, you need to do it. They're chef's kiss. Next up, then I read a thriller because I have been struggling with like reading. I don't know. I was just going through a period where like I was kind of struggling with like reading romances and just finding something that like kept my interest. So I picked up The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I've read quite a few Frida McFadden books at this point. I don't know how many, but this one is her most popular. I think it's one of her earliest ones, maybe. I don't know when it came out, like publishing wise, but it's by far her most popular book, and I hadn't read it yet. So I finally picked it up and I loved it. I was hooked. I was hooked on this once again. So this one follows our heroine. So she is recently out of prison, and you don't know why, but she's out of prison and she is struggling to find a job. She's struggling to keep a job, and she's living out of her car. So when she sees this advertisement to be a live-in housemaid / like kind of nanny a little bit for this family, she thinks that's too good to be true, but she goes to the interview anyways, and she ends up landing the job. And she's like, oh, like this is great. Like I need this. The fact that they didn't turn her away for being an ex-convict, she's like, oh, maybe they didn't do a background check on me. Like I'm golden. This is great. So she ends up moving in. And then when she moves in, she realizes that her like little apartment in their house is up in an attic with a door that locks from the outside. And she's kind of like, that's weird, but once again, I need this job, so I'm gonna kind of put up with it. And then once she starts, her boss / the wife of the household, she starts being like, this lady's nuts. She'll give her one order to do something, and then in the next second flip around and be like, I never told you to do that, flips out on her and like yells at her, creates a scene, whatever. But again, she's like, I need this job, so I'm gonna kind of like stick through it. The other part is about this job that she kind of loves is the husband. She starts connecting with him because she's like, oh, how did this lady snag him? Like, he's rich, he's hot, he's way hotter than her, like she's letting herself go. How did these two like end up together? He deserves better. She's working there, and she kind of wants the husband too. That's all I'll say, because I don't want to like accidentally give anything away with thrillers, but it just, there starts to be some things that pop up that she's like, something's not right here. And yeah, that ends up just devolving into a lot of other stuff. Listen, I loved this. I really enjoyed this book. Is it my favorite? Honestly, I don't know. The Boyfriend so far has been my favorite by Frida McFadden, but maybe this one would be up there with it. I really, really enjoyed this one. Absolutely loved it. And definitely like kept my attention at a time when I like could not focus on a single book that I was reading. Next, I had my reread of the month, which is Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. So I have been rereading the Throne of Glass series slowly but surely. So I actually listened to the majority of this book in April, but I was listening to it on Spotify, ran out of my Spotify hours with like 6 hours left, and finally got the last 6 hours this month to be able to finish it. So read Heir of Fire. This is the third book in the Throne of Glass series, which is a fantasy series with fae and dragons and witches and magic and romance. It's everything and more. I love this series. I talk about it all the time. My favorite series of all time. Honestly, I can't tell you anything that happens in this book because it would be complete spoilers for the series. But this book is really the turning point in the series. I think for a lot of people, but especially for me, I would say that this is the turning point in the series. And especially going back on the rereads, I appreciate obviously like all of Aelin, Rowan, Kale, Dorian, like all of their storylines. But the ones that I love the most on the reread are Manon's, because in this series, Manon is a brand new character that's introduced in this book. So she was not in the previous two. And I remember the first time reading being like, I don't care about this witch. I don't care about her. I don't care about her covens. I don't care about their war games. Like, I just get me back to my people that I already know. Well, obviously over the course of the book, Manon is genuinely one of my favorite characters ever. So now I appreciate her chapters so much more every time I reread, because it's like, I just remember how much I did not care the first time around when I was reading them, and now I'm like, oh, I love them. So anyways, loved this. Then Born Darkly by Trisha Wolfe. So I spent, I think like 2.5 weeks in May not reading at all, and then because I like was not in the mood for anything, could not pick anything up, and then finally all of a sudden the craving for like a dark romance hit, like a dark messed up one, and I was like, oh, remember that one that you've always had on your TBR where she falls in love with a serial killer? I want that one. So I read Born Darkly, and I read it in like 2 days, which is insane because I just have not been doing that lately. And I really enjoyed this one. I'm definitely going to finish the duet. It does have a second book, so this one does end on a cliffhanger. So obviously if you, well, at least the second book's out, so you don't have to worry about that. But this one, our heroine, so she is a psychologist, or is it psychiatrist? I don't remember which one. Sorry, don't come at me for the technical mishap. I'm going to say psychologist, but so she is often tapped to come into court cases and speak on the mental state of these criminals who are often trying to like get appeals. So she is kind of known as interviewing these serial killer or like these criminals, but a lot of times they're serial killers, and trying to like get inside their head and seeing if they can be rehabilitated or not. So she is not very well liked by like the public, by prosecution, because she often can make a good case on behalf of the serial killers. So that's kind of like how she is set up. And then our hero, he is awaiting trial for another, like a different round of murders than what he's already been convicted of and like found guilty of. And he is going to be put on trial. So he is then sent to be like interviewed by her, and she ends up accepting his case and seeing if she can kind of come to his defense in the courtroom on behalf of him. And he's a very messed up killer. He has videos of all of his kills. So that is, you know, pretty graphic when you're reading about it. But, you know, listen, he has his reasons. He kind of sees himself as a bit of a like Lord of Justice, and when the system fails, he takes it into his own hands to then deal out punishments to these people. Whether, like, obviously that's wrong, but also, like, should child molesters go free? So you can see how maybe when she starts interviewing him and starting to like get into his head and get into his psyche, she kind of realizes, you know, that while yes, killing bad, he's not killing good guys. And then also she has her own past secrets and trauma that over the course of them working together, he kind of pulls out in her. Like he's a manipulator, straight up. Like he knows what he's doing. He knows how to get inside her head just as much as she knows how to get inside his. So he's definitely manipulating her in order to try to get her to get him off the hook. And then it does end up being a little captor-captive situation. Listen, I thoroughly enjoyed this because it was just kind of like a roller coaster the whole time. And I was like, neither of you are necessarily like good people, but you're also not like, I mean, you've like done bad things, but also like you're doing them for the greater good. So it's kind of like that moral question a little bit, you know? I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's definitely dark. Heed your triggers, but I will most definitely be reading book 2. And last, but certainly not least, which I always count the books that I release in a certain month as a book in my wrap up because I read these so many times. Goalie, my most recent release, released at the end of May. It released on May 30th. And this one is a forbidden coach athlete hockey romance. This one follows Luke and Lennon. So Luke is a retired NHL goalie, and he had a career ending injury 3 years prior that took him out of the game and kind of upended his entire life. And now he's just kind of been floating aimlessly looking for a purpose when he ends up getting a job opportunity to coach the women's college hockey team at Halton University, which is back in his hometown that he's now back living in. And Lennon is a senior in college. This is her final year, and she is their starting goalie, and she is so determined to win the Frozen Four championship. They lost the previous year. That's all she wants. Like, that is her one prize. Her eye is on it, and she is willing to do anything that it takes in order to make sure that they win this year. So when Luke first shows up, she obviously recognizes him, and she's really excited because she's like, I'm gonna get coached by one of the best that was in the league. This is gonna be great. And then she realizes that he does not give a flying fuck about his job. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to be there. He's still just caught up in his past a little bit and just has lost kind of all motivation. And she's not having any of that. So as the season goes on and as he starts to coach her, and like he's brought in specifically to work with the goalies because he was a goalie himself, their attraction starts to build and her passion starts to reignite his. But obviously there are lines that cannot be crossed because they are coach athlete and because they are also 12 years apart in age. And anyways, it ends up being their romance. I know like I'm biased, but I think this is the book that I am by far the proudest of. I'm really, really proud of this book. I absolutely love their story. I loved writing them. They were so much fun. I'm a huge hockey fan, so I loved writing in this world. I think you guys always expected me to write a forbidden romance, but I never wanted to write one just for the sake of writing one. Like, I knew I had to wait until a story came to me, and the second that these two did, I was like, done. We gotta write it, and I had so much fun with it. So I really hope that you guys enjoy. If you pick it up, it's free to read in Kindle Unlimited, and it's also available in ebook and paperback. Obviously, not with this little not for resale. This is still my proof copy. My author copies haven't come in yet. But let me show you the pretty pretty formatting on the inside, and obviously he's just hot. I needed to do a hot cover for this book. So anyways, and it's short and sweet. It's only 332 pages, so, you know, it's not a big honker either, but it is a slow burn. I make you work for it. So anyways, that is it for my May wrap up. Again, Sorry, it is late. Trust me, I could not have filmed. Didn't have a voice and then was very ill. So anyways, that is it for today's video. I'm going to have my June TBR up on Friday, and then next week we're gonna have bookshelf tour and hockey recommendations. So anyways, that is it for today's video, and I will see you when I see ya.